Tonight, the Clinton machine gets tougher as Obama gains momentum. Now they're using the same sort of political tactics the left has complained about for years.
Well, hello, America. Remember way back on Super Tuesday when I set a new standard for live political coverage, which we probably should never discuss again? We all found out that Hillary Clinton decisively won New York State's primaries. Thing is, her win may not have been that decisive. According now to the New York Times, when it comes to the unofficial results on primary night, there are about 80 districts here in New York City where Barack Obama didn't receive even one vote, including the 94th district deep in the heart of anti-Obama country known as Harlem. So here's the point tonight. The Democrats are guilty of the same kind of infighting, game-playing, and conspiracy theories that they've always pinned on the Republicans, and here's how I got there. If you're a Democrat and you somehow or another stumbled across the program, you can stop writing your angry little letters to CNN. I'm not saying that Clinton's, and that political machine flexed the muscles and rigged the New York primary. These miscalculations in primary votes could cause trouble. Even a couple hundred votes in New York might mean a few additional delegates for a candidate, and everyone will count this time around. As we've seen, Hillary will scratch and claw her way to as many delegates as possible. Remember, this isn't my conservative opinion. She's the one now crying over Florida and Michigan's unseated delegates that she helped unseat. This is what kills me about the Democrats. I mean, when the rules, they'll make all the rules, but when they stop really working in their favor, then they try to change them. It's like playing, a card game with a child. Hillary Clinton ain't for. Stop changing the rules. Clinton's even attacking her own news network, not this one, MSNBC. It is virtually a PR machine for the left and the Clintons. Yet for Hillary, they didn't go far enough. She went after a reporter's job when he offhandedly suggested that her campaign seemed to be pimping out Chelsea Clinton. Let me ask you this. If a conservative would have tried to have a reporter fired for an opinion or an offhanded remark, do you think they would have been accused of stepping on the freedom of press? You bet. The double standard is actually starting to get funny. So tonight, here's what you need to know. Democrats, you cannot have it both ways. You cannot blame the Republicans for disenfranchising black voters, playing dirty politics, manipulating the media, with evil talk radio, and then go out and do exactly the same thing yourself. It's time for the good Democrats, the party of my grandparents, to take stock and ask themselves, is this really my party? Or has it been hijacked by the ultra-left? We conservatives have had to do the same kind of soul-searching, and many of us have left our party. Maybe, Democrats, it's your turn. Peter Fenn is a former Gore advisor and current Democratic strategist. Peter, first of all, let me just go through some of these.
You went through a lot there,
Glenn. I know. So let's start here. I'm not saying that there was anything, illegal that was going on that gave Obama zero in some of these districts. Not saying that Clintons flexed their muscles and did anything like that. However, do you think somebody like Keith Olbermann or the New York Times would give conservatives the same benefit of the doubt if that election would have been McCain and Obama?
I hate to tell you this, Glenn, but I think looking at the facts as they were in that New York Times article, I think they probably would have. Look, some of those things were 116 to 0. I mean, who got 0 votes? The whole point also was that, as you read in that same article, they did the same thing in the Clintons. In other words, the Clinton precincts had 0 votes. So I think, before we throw out charges about whether or not someone deliberately did this...
And Peter, I am not throwing those charges out. I'm not even implying them by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think so. What kills me is the hypocrisy of charging the Republicans and saying, look at the way they do these things. And it's not. It's just the way the system works sometimes.
Look, there's one thing which we could have a long discussion on this show about, and that is the crazy way we run our elections in all 50 states and in localities in this country, and machines that don't work, hanging chads that are ridiculous. So that's a whole other kind of subject.
Look,
and I think a lot of it gets caught in that. But let me make one crucial point, Glenn. This president had a civil rights division that had a historic role in this country. He turned that Civil Rights Division into going after what he thought was voter fraud on the part of the Democrats. He found none. The point, I think, with this is, before we throw charges, you and I and others, about voter fraud, we ought to really look at these facts and make sure that things are right. And I'm not accusing you of doing that. I'm just saying that that's awful important on both sides.
Here's the thing. You're exactly right. But you have a party. I mean, do you notice, as a former Gore advisor, you were there in 2000. Do you at any point say, gosh, it's awfully ironic that my own party is disenfranchising voters, and, you know, NAACP is saying minority voters in Florida?
Right. I think the whole business of anybody disenfranchising anybody is an outrage. Whatever party it comes from, whatever groups. You know, most of this is, I hate to say it, I think there are a lot of Lone Rangers out there that think they're being cute. They put out mailings saying that the election is the next Tuesday. They put out mailings saying that they should go to the wrong polling place. That stuff to me is cheap shots, dumb, stupid, has no place in our politics.
All right. Thanks a lot, Peter. I appreciate it.